Hello and welcome to the Eye on the U podcast, the Miami Herald's Miami Hurricanes podcast. I'm David Wilson. I'm joined, as always, on the other line by Susan Miller-Degnan, our Hurricanes beat writer here at the Herald. Susan, what's going on?
I feel energized for this game, just like Virginia after beating North Carolina.
Yeah, a little bit more intrigue than we expected going in. Miami's still a pretty substantial favorite, but
Which is good, by the way, David. Best thing that could have happened to Miami, but well, in more than one way, the best thing that happened to Miami,
right, was
other than winning,
beating Clemson is the way that Virginia game played out. There's you can't overlook Virginia now that they just beat North Carolina, and obviously it throws a wrench in the ACC race.
Yes, exactly. Miami. Yeah, they made it possible now for Miami to win out. It sounds very easy, right?
We'll get to all that, I think, in the back half of this episode. Susan wrote pretty extensively about that on, I think it was Sunday, right? It was after the game. But first, we got to talk about the Clemson game because it's our first time talking since that win. And you and I were talking before we recorded today how to term this win for the Mario Cristobal era. And the adjective I came up with that I think you kind of agree with, it was most important win, I think, of the Mario Cristobal era so far. You could probably say the A&M win was more impressive, better. Certainly it jumped Miami up in the rankings, and as we've said a couple times, they kind of beat up on Texas A&M, a game that was I think like the purest distillation of like what Mario Cristobal wants this program to look like, where they just kind of like overpowered them. But given what we, thinking back a week ago to last time we talked, given where this program seemed like it was 7 days ago, coming off the embarrassing loss to Georgia Tech, a disheartening loss, I would say, maybe at North Carolina.
Very.
And in real danger of falling to 4-3. And, we're kind of in a similar spot to where we were last year, where Miami's just fighting to make a bowl game. And, they were literally less than 2 minutes away from 4-3 because they were down 10 points in the last 10 minutes, still down by a score with less than 2 minutes left, with the backup quarterback playing.
Right.
It would have been a situation, in a lot of years, Miami kind of would have like rolled over and died there. And instead they put together a real fourth quarter comeback with a backup quarterback. And
in his first college start,
a true freshman backup quarterback in his first meaningful action. He played some mop-up duty. And against, I know Clemson is kind of a mess right now, but still, that's a really talented team.
A number 5 overall defense. They were the number 5 defense in the country.
Yeah. And Emory Williams, not kind of struggled for a lot of 3 quarters, but made the throws that mattered at the end. Didn't make, as you've said a couple of times, didn't turn the ball over, which was really important. Yeah. And Miami pulls out a win that, like I said, in a lot of years they would have folded, I think, in the fourth quarter of a game like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would say the word struggled. I would say I would say they kept the game super simple.
Very simple. Yeah.
And
I guess that's a fair way to put it. He didn't struggle because they didn't give him an opportunity necessarily to struggle.
Right.
But
I mean, he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
He wasn't like a star is born.
Yeah.
Okay. But I wouldn't put it in a negative term. I would say he did what he was supposed to do, and he gained confidence. You could tell, and he admitted that. He told us that. As he went, he was nervous at first. He had to probably keep looking for the signals. He did. I mean, this was totally new for him. The last time he played was high school, and he did great. I think he did great, right? Do you hear that?
Yes.
That's somebody. Okay, that's like one of our sound effects. It's somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a guy trying to call me. If it's the same guy, saying that he has a son who plays high school football and he wants to tell Mario Cristobal about it.
Okay.
He wants me to tell him how to get in touch with
Mario. So Mario, if you're listening,
there's
people trying to get in touch with you. I mean, Emory, you look at his stat line, it's 24 for 33, 151 yards.
Yeah, really good, by the way.
One touchdown.
70%. What 70? What was the percent? I have the thing. It was high. It was like over 70% completion.
Yeah. But then you look, he didn't, I don't think he had a completion longer than like 12 yards until the fourth quarter. But importantly, when they were down, they were trying to keep it close, right? He had one interception, but for them, takes care of Miami only had one turnover, which was key. They won the turnover margin 3-1. Yeah, 3-1. And the key thing is in the fourth quarter, he makes his two longest throws of the game are really on that last drive, actually, the game tying drive, game tying drive where he makes the one throw to Colby Young for 16 yards and then hits the one deep ball
25 yards,
throwing a jump ball to Colby Young again. So they got just enough from him, right? Like the big plays were limited, but Miami won with defense. And like you said, I mean, Emory clearly more confident as the game went on. And I thought Shannon Dawson had a really smart game plan for him.
Yes.
Everything was short in the beginning.
And he said it, by the way, Shannon Dawson, because you weren't at that presser, he said it this week that he knew there was going to come a point in the game if Miami was going to win that Emory would have to make some bigger throws. Right. He knew it, and he kept it simple until he got more comfortable, and then sorry. Then he went for it. It's okay. We can, this person. Okay. What can I say? Well, I don't know what to say.
Close Gmail.
Oh, okay. That would help. All right, let's try that. Tried that. Well, it went away for now. Let me see if any more. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. Okay.
Start over that Shannon Dawson point. They're talking about the game plan.
Shannon Dawson said this week in the press conference that that he knew there was going to be a point in this game that Emory was going to have to come through with some big throws, with some longer throws. He was going to have to air it out, or they would not, in order for them to win. He was going to have to do that. And he knew that he was getting more and more comfortable. Shannon said as the game went on, and it worked out just perfectly. Yeah. I mean, he's very, from what I have heard, he's a very smart kid. And he's certainly likable. That's for sure.
Yeah. Very enthusiastic at the end of the game. I mean, I think if Miami had just been able to win the game if they were up 10 in the fourth quarter, they were probably not going to ask Emory to do that, but they had to, right? Like, that's what's impressive about this win is they were down 10 without really asking Emory to do much of anything. And then he has to make throws, and he made them, and he made the throws, but he also, his teammates like really picked him up. We'll talk about the defense, which was kind of the story of the game. I think in a lot of ways, Ruben Bain, like, been spectacular all year long, but this was like the breakout where, like, nationally, I think people were like, this guy is really special.
Everybody.
And we'll talk. I mean, we'll talk about your story you wrote this week of the Canes legends also, like, kind of freaking out about him. But Colby Young makes basically 3 huge catches.
Oh my God, great.
That
contested,
the touchdown catch. And then like the two long throws that Emory made, like Colby Young, who was kind of like against North Carolina, like, I think Isaiah Horton played more snaps than him. Like, he'd kind of, like, I don't know, maybe there was an injury or something, but was not a huge part of that game.
He did have an injury. I think he told us he had a knee. Something was with his knee. but it's better.
Was not a huge part of that game. And then a week later is for a quarterback making his first career start. I mean, natural to be like, all right, throw it to the 6'5" guy and like let him try to make some plays. And he made 3 huge plays, and Miami got just enough on offense. And then obviously in overtime, kind of just couldn't pound the ball because Miami's got that great offensive line. And, obviously the game starts with an 80-yard touchdown run by Brashard Smith. That kind of changes the complexion of the game. If Miami doesn't get that, then who knows what, they might be stuck on 0 points into the fourth quarter, right? I think it was 17-7 in the fourth. So they got just enough from the offense that the defense, which like we said was spectacular, could win the game for them.
Yes, and I it felt to me like the like Emery's teammates were almost treating him like a little brother.
Yeah,
they were really concerned about making it doing as much as they could to help him. They were like being very it felt like protective in a way. They were like going all out to do their best so he wouldn't have to struggle.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot, right? Because he's a freshman. Sometimes though a freshman quarterback comes in and they're not like that because they're the starter, right? Like I haven't watched a lot of them, but I'm sure Dante Moore at UCLA, no one feels like he's the younger brother because he's the starting quarterback and has been since I think week 2. But Emery is a guy who they know is coming in and, ideally for Miami, he's just going to play 1 game and then we won't see him again until next year. So yeah, there's like a feeling that he has to lead us. He has to lead us, but we also have to like lead him because he's not supposed to be in this spot, right? In an ideal world, he never would have had to play in that game and Tyler would have been 100% healthy all year long. But yeah, they did a huge job supporting him. The running game was really good. Brashard Smith made obviously the 80-yard touchdown run. As I said, it was like a game-changing play. Don Chaney was I thought really effective. AJ Allen obviously scores the touchdown at the end. And they're doing it without Henry Parrish too. So I thought the rest of the offense was, just did what they were supposed to do around, even like Xavier Restrepo, who only had 26 yards. He had 7 catches. I don't remember him dropping a pass. Like he was still just like an important, like we need 3 yards here. Like we're going to throw a little bubble screen to you. Miami went in with kind of a game plan of like, when you're playing with a backup quarterback like that, you're not going to put up 50 points and blow out Clemson, right? You're going to have to try to like win the field position battle, win the turnover battle, and get just enough big plays. And Miami, I thought, had a really good game plan designed to just do that. Yeah.
I mean, everything you're saying is correct. And as far as the running game goes, Mario said this week that Parrish should be back.
Yeah, he dressed last week, so obviously that's didn't play, but it's always a better sign when a guy is dressed than when they're standing around in street clothes.
Yeah. However, I have my doubts about Don Chaney. Not sure. It's just I asked about Chaney because he got nicked up at the end of the game, and Mario was he didn't really say. He said, "Oh yeah, he's doing okay." He never said he's going to play. So I'm not sure about him. But it's that time of year, so they've got to be lucky to have what they have still. Knock on wood.
Miami, according to Stat Broadcast, only 1 drop. So going back to just like the rest of the offense, no one made a mistake at any point that I can really remember, which was
they're dropping the ball.
Well, yeah, 1 drop. So like we got 1 mistake basically.
I agree.
When you've got a freshman quarterback who's limited, you can't make. You didn't want to turn the ball over. They turned it over once at the end of the first half. That was it. So like, the offense did what it was supposed to do, and then the defense, as I said earlier, really won the game for them. Really 2 goal line stands because at the beginning, James Williams strips Will Shipley as he's about to cross the goal line. And then of course Brashard has the long run and he gets stripped at the goal line too. I've never seen that before. And then obviously at the end of the game, Clemson gets first and goal at the 2-yard line, needing a touchdown on the 2-point conversion to force a third overtime, and Miami stuffs them 4 straight times. And
on the one, he was on the one.
Yeah, you got to the one eventually.
Got to the one. Yeah, it was crazy. It was.
Yeah, I mean that's Miami.
So impressive. Corey flagged.
Yeah, and again, Miami doing that, we should say, without their 2 starting defensive ends, Akeem Mesidor and Nigel Lee Kelly both out. But that segues us nicely to Ruben Bain, who I don't think is coming out of this lineup again.
He's not coming out, and now they play with 3 defensive linemen and 3 linebackers this week. So he switched it off. I'm not sure what he'll do this week. They were saying how great it is doing that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, Ruben Bain, amazing.
Yeah, it felt like anytime they needed a big play, he gave them one. Obviously, he had the strip sack of Cade Klubnik early on.
Yep. Which should have been a safety. Was that the safety?
No, he had another. There was another. That was a different play where. That
was a different.
He had a strip sack with Clemson on the other side of midfield. It was a big play. At the end of the game in overtime with Clemson, Miami kicks a field, or Clemson has a chance to score a touchdown that potentially wins them the game. They get on 1st and 10. Bain sacks him for a 10-yard loss. That really
that was
sidelined Miami's or Clemson's drive there. And then on the last drive, he's in the backfield again. I don't think he got credit for a tackle for a loss on that goal line stand, but he had one of the 4 key plays there. Blowing up a play in the backfield and forcing a no gain run. So, I mean, we've talked about him, I think, on every episode this year, but he deserves it. Like for a true freshman. Yeah, exactly. And Miami legends raving about him too.
Yeah. Andre Johnson, Ruben's cousin, by the way, one of Ruben's, his older cousin is Tolbert Bain, who was the cornerback from Miami from 83 to 88. Okay. And to 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, I guess through 87. I don't know. Anyway, he was a redshirt freshman in 83. And he said that Andre Johnson called him in the middle of the game, and said, remember I told you when he starts using his hands better, he's going to be unstoppable. He's getting there, and he still has a lot to learn. That's the scary part. He called him in the middle of the game, and so did Warren Sapp, Vince Wilfork, and Russell Maryland. Talked to him like all excited. I mean, that's quite a cast of former Canes. But it's not just that. I mean, the whole country's talking about him.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's as impressive a freshman defensive lineman as you'll find, basically. And
for sure.
The last sack, when you talk about using the hands, like Clemson's offensive line, that's a bunch of 4- and 5-star offensive linemen, and he did a Reggie White hump move on the guy and just knocked him over and ran right to the quarterback like that for a 19-year-old who went to prom 4 months ago or whatever. Like it's kind of unbelievable.
I saw did you see the video? UM put out a video. I think it was UM of it was a really good video of Ruben Bain highlights from the game. Just his highlights. Oh my God. It's beautiful to watch. I watched it several times. You got to look at it. It's really impressive. It's like, oh my God, how does this guy do that?
Yeah.
So can you imagine they have him 2 more years?
I know.
2 more years after this. Oh my God. So
he's already really good. It's hard to imagine how he could get better because I've seen him, I've said a bunch, he's been doing this since he was a freshman, but the fact that he went up a level and is, has not been phased at all. And, you've talked to him enough by now. It's kind of not surprising that he's not phased by any of this. He's so even keeled and just all about his business that.
Well, he's super excited after the game.
Yeah. He was obviously excited to win, but I just mean he doesn't seem phased by the speed of the game or the attention or anything like that because.
Oh no, but he said that he went to Sonic.
Yep. I've been to that Sonic after games before, the one across the street from Hard Rock.
I wish I knew about him. I think I'm going to go this next 8 p.m. game. But anyway, he went there and he
done it
said,
more after Dolphins games.
I'm looking at my story. He told us he went there and he said, yeah, I'm a big Sonic guy. He went there with his mom and dad after the game. And then where are we? Oh, he said he was getting a lot of love from the community. He said, I'm walking in, I could hear them saying, oh, that's Bain. That's Bain. He said, I took a couple of pictures and everything like that. That was the main reason I stayed home, for the love of my community and to put the city back on the map. And he said, and just having the chance to feel the pride and the love from the community was something I always dreamed of, and now I'm finally getting. So he's really into that. He likes the love, but he loves it from the community.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool story. I mean, when I wrote about him when he was coming into Miami, and I intentionally I centered a lot of the story on him and his dad, Ruben Sr., who I can't remember if he played in college anywhere. I think he played like a D2 school.
He played at Morris. What's the name? Something Morris in Atlanta.
Yeah, right. Yes. It's like a Division II school or a small, not Division I, but he was a really good high school player. That's where the Hurricane nickname comes from. His dad was Hurricane Bain because of Coach Wilcox at Traz gave his dad the nickname, and that's when I wrote about him when he was coming into Miami. I wanted to center it on that because it's like such a community story and like a generations of football in South Florida story that I think is really it's cool. I mean, you could say it about a lot of guys, right? Like,
you can. You can say it about Santana Moss and Norris, all those guys, Carroll City. By the way, he went to Morris Brown, Division II Morris Brown College in Atlanta. And his older brother, I just have to say his older brother, Reggie.
Yeah, who's on
Ruben's older brother, Reggie, was an FAU starting offensive lineman, and he's right now a UM grad assistant.
Yeah, he's been on staff. I think last year was his first year at the program. So it's a cool, like, generational community story. And like you said, there have been a lot of them. It's been a while since I think we've had like a full-blown success story like this, where it's like from day one.
It's great.
I'm sure Cam Kinchins is pretty, having a similar kind of experience. Like these guys who are kind of known to the football community since the time they're 13 years old in some of these cases, right? So it's been really cool. And just big picture, I think this is I mean, one of the reasons I think it's so important for Miami to win this game is not just all the circumstances around it of like the 2-game losing streak and the way the losses happened, but like they're a complete team now in a way that they were not last year, where you think of those games where they didn't have Tyler Van Dyke. I know they won a couple. They beat Virginia without scoring a touchdown.
Yeah, and it was ugly.
It was a bad Virginia team. They beat a bad Georgia Tech team, but Ja'Carri Brown played really well in that game. For the most part, when Tyler Van Dyke has not been out there and they haven't gotten great quarterback play, it's been a struggle for them to win. Like you said, Emory wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. And last year, if Miami had gotten that performance from Emory Williams, they probably don't win the game. It's a big step forward where the defense has been great. The skill guys have made just enough plays around them. Those like marginal roster improvements are starting to really add up.
And Emory, by the way, I didn't put this in my advance. I'm making a note. Emory has already played in 4 games.
Right.
I think so. One more, and his red shirt's killed. I can't imagine him redshirting this season.
Yeah, and I don't think they care, right?
No way. Not with Tyler halfway injured.
Yeah.
I still.
I mean, when they gave him the backup, not they gave him the back, but when he won the backup job, you can't bank on your backup quarterback getting redshirted. Like,
no, he's not gonna be. I just can't. I cannot imagine that Tyler's gonna have to, even if he plays tomorrow or whatever, or tomorrow, not tomorrow. I'm sorry, against Virginia.
Tomorrow, when people listen to this, when this comes out.
Tomorrow, we're doing it at night. But Emory's got to come in again. So,
that's a good segue, I think, to the Virginia game. Starting with the status of the quarterback here, what's the latest there on Tyler Van Dyke?
Well, Tyler's
his potential availability.
Yeah, Tyler still, again, he hurt his knee, his leg, right leg against North Carolina, and his ribs and his back.
His everything.
His everything. And he also had that screwed up hand, which he said is fine. Okay, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine. But you know, they were hoping to start him. Okay, they're hoping to start him against Virginia. And he did practice this week, but he's wearing a big brace on his right knee. And I was told that they both, which to me makes sense, David, took first team snaps. How could it not make sense, right? Just in case. I mean, Emory's still gotta practice and kind of be ready. Yeah. Just in case. I think they're trying.
Right. Even if Tyler starts, like even if they know on Tuesday that Tyler's going to start with the injury situation. Yeah.
I think, I don't know.
I'm not saying they do know, but
yeah. I think they want to start Tyler, and I will not be shocked at all if Emory ends up starting or plays a lot. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't want Tyler to get hurt again, or to get worse after last year.
Yeah, last year, I am sure it can't be not weighing on his mind, just the in and out nature, the healthy, get re-injury, that kind of thing.
And remember, David, we still have, after Virginia, we've got the last 4 games of the season in November are at North Carolina State. That's after this Virginia game, at North Carolina State. Then right after that, at Florida State, number 4 in the country right now, and they're 7-0 right now. And then the only home game left after that, after tomorrow's, I keep saying that, after Virginia, the only home game left is Louisville, and right now they're ranked 18th, and they're 6-1. So they've got a hard, and then they go to then they travel for the last game of the year at Boston College the day after Thanksgiving. So there's a tough road ahead of them, man. Really, and I think that's one reason they've got to. Yeah, they want to play Tyler, but they also have to protect him. Kind of, that Florida State game,
Yeah, I mean, a week ago, I think we would have been like Virginia, whatever. Like they still might be the worst Power 5 team in America, but they didn't just beat.
I don't think we're saying
they did just beat North Carolina last week. So
we're not saying that about any team now in Miami.
I know that's the other thing is, yes, after the Georgia Tech game, I think we're a little scarred. Virginia, I get the feeling they probably wasted a lot of their bullets on taking down North Carolina, but at the same time, you can never. I mean, they did beat North Carolina, which Miami didn't do, and really, like, they beat them, and probably should have beat them by more. Yeah, they probably should beat them by 2 scores. They fumbled at the end of the game.
Yes, they did.
Into the end zone. So, like, that could have easily been a 10+ point game. Baffling. We obviously were not watching the game. We were watching the Miami game. Right. But I think we were all just like flabbergasted by that happening. It's a reminder that you can never overlook anyone in college football. So.
And I really think they believe that now. I really
you cannot, right?
No, you cannot. But I mean, people are human, and I don't think Miami thinks they're invincible. Put it that way.
And they definitely shouldn't. Yeah, well, I'd be shocked if Miami loses. I would have been shocked if they lost. I'm shocked they lost to Georgia Tech, though. This I would be even more shocked because, again, I've not watched a lot of Virginia. Whenever I have watched them, they've been feisty-ish. They're
right. Well,
it's a tough circumstance there. Obviously, like they're still reeling from the death of a couple players last year in a school shooting. Still a relatively new coach in year 2 there. Like it was just, that's a really, really hard situation for still a new coach. They've played a true freshman quarterback for a lot of the year, although they didn't against North Carolina. So they've been frisky. They've been feisty. They've got a couple guys, Virginia's always got a few guys who are draft prospects. So, they've got, I mean, they clearly have the ability to knock off good teams as they did last week. But at the same time, Miami beat them last year, obviously, with in one of the worst games in Miami history, probably. And hopefully they have learned their lesson both from the Georgia Tech game and, as you said at the top, like Virginia beating North Carolina, like Mario had to be thrilled, one, because of the ACC race, but also like,
oh yeah,
easy like bulletin board material
oh,
to say like, you can't overlook these guys. They just beat a team that kicked the crap out of you 2 weeks ago.
Oh, definitely. And actually Mario said that, and I think it was one of them. It might have been Guidry.
Yeah.
One of them, or Dawson, said, man, he's glad they won because now they can't overlook them, you know. So we'll see. And I bet you they have a good crowd, by the way. It's my guess. I have no idea.
Yeah. But afternoon game hasn't been an afternoon home game yet. They've all been night games. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think they've all been night games because they had those 2 weeknight games early in the year. So afternoon game, coming off a Clemson win, you know, much better vibes than there were a week ago.
And people are kind of interested in the quarterback thing.
Yeah, they're interested in the quarterback thing. They're interested in Ruben Bain, right? Like,
oh yeah, Brashard Smith.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a pretty good situation. Miami 1 win away from bowl eligibility, so they can lock that up this weekend. If not, they'll get a few more chances down the stretch. Be a disaster at this point, obviously, if they don't reach a bowl, which is a big deal because they didn't make one last year. Right. And as you noted, still alive in the ACC race, need a lot of help, need to win out. But I don't know, do you want to run through how they can do that before we close things out here?
I know Duke. Well, I'd have to go I have to look at the schedule. Duke has to lose.
They got to win out. Miami's got to win out, obviously.
Yeah, and Duke, which doesn't play Miami. The thing is that Miami plays Florida State. They play Louisville, right? They play all these teams that they need to beat, but they need to Duke. It's funny because they were, you know, in the Coastal,
right?
And now there are no divisions, and Miami normally plays them every year, but this year they don't play them. So they need Duke to lose an ACC game. I don't have their schedule.
Yeah, Duke. I think the Duke North Carolina game will be really important in the equation. So yeah, but the key component here obviously is win out, which, you know, is odds are obviously stacked against Miami. They're going to be pretty significant underdogs when they go up to Florida State, but you know, every other game on this.
I'm not. Florida State is anybody's game. That's why
every game on the schedule, because that's a rivalry game and is winnable, right? You get Louisville, which is your toughest opponent. That's a home game. You know, that I think we're both a little nervous about the Boston College finale.
I'm definitely nervous.
BC suddenly like kind of looks pretty good. You know, competent, bowl potential. They're 4-3. That could very well. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but they could very well be 5-6 going into that game, right? And have bowl eligibility on the line. So it's not easy, but it's also not like Miami's going to be favored in a lot of these games down the stretch. So as we said, anything can happen, but Miami, again, like you throw out the Georgia Tech game, and I think we'd all feel a lot different about this team, because the North Carolina game is pretty like they lost pretty substantially, but you know, that's a loss that happens. A good team on the road where you led at halftime and kind of shot yourself in the foot a whole bunch. Like if you just throw out the Georgia Tech game where you didn't play well and had probably the worst ending anyone's had in 40 years of college, like I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah, like I'm sure something like that's happened before, but it has been a long time. We'd feel a lot different about this team. And the Clemson game, you know, I don't know if it says more about Miami or more about Clemson, but I think it says a lot about both. And for Miami, I think it says that they're closer to the team we saw in the first 4 weeks of the season than the team we saw, I think, in the previous 2.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, excited. I'm actually getting really excited. I'm definitely getting ahead of myself for Florida State.
Yeah, let's hope Miami's not. But yeah, that'll be fun.
I know. I'm
kind of bummed I won't be going up there for it, but
oh man,
that's going to be electric. I mean, that'll be the best Florida State Miami crowd in a long time, probably.
And I think if they win this game against Virginia, and if they go to North Carolina State and beat them, they'd be 7, and I'm allowed to look ahead.
Right? Okay. Yeah, I mean 7-2 versus 9-0.
That game would definitely be on national TV.
Yeah, that would be like I said, it would be pretty much every Miami Florida State match since I've been here. One team has been kind of not very good. At least one team has been not very good. And this one has a chance to be the first one in a while where it's like, I don't know if Miami would be ranked at that point, probably be close. But like again,
doesn't matter. It's going to be
electric. Like they're going to know this two good teams. So. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Miami,
we are.
Virginia, Saturday, 3:30. Susan and I will both be out there. You can follow Susan on Twitter at @smillardegnan. Lots of good stuff from her this week at MiamiHerald.com, including a story on Ruben Bain, one on Brashard Smith. We didn't talk a lot about Brashard on this episode, but
he's been great.
Yeah,
#1 kick returner in the nation, and he has been since
week 1, I think. Right? Didn't he have a kick return for a touchdown? And
but I mean, he has been continued to be #1.
Right.
He has got since September after I don't know. Oh, here. So, okay, he's been #1 since after the Texas A&M.
Right, that was the game he had the touchdown.
That was the second game. Yeah. I mean, yes, he had the 98-yard.
Yeah, and made a huge. We mentioned a couple of times made a huge play on offense. So.
Right. But I mean, he's been, but I wanted to get that story written because now it's been 2, 4, 5 weeks. It's been a long time. He's been #1. I want to make sure I got that #1 in the nation. And
there you go. You can follow me on Twitter at DBWilson2. Like I said, I'll be out at Hard Rock on Saturday for what should be a fun afternoon.
We hope
of ACC football because it's always interesting. Thanks as always for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you guys next week.